Hello to all. How are you? Good. You must be fine. So, what we were discussing in the last class, I think we have discussed the spirometry. Okay. Okay. Now today, we'll discuss the gaseous exchange. Because in the last class we have done the breathing part, that the inhalation and the exhalation, and today we'll do the gaseous exchanges. Because by the process of breathing, by the process of inhalation, the gases enters inside our lungs. Now, how those gases transferred from the lungs into the blood? That is by the process of gaseous exchange. Now here, the gaseous exchange takes place between the alveoli and blood capillaries. Means we know the alveoli are present inside the lungs, and the air which we are inhaling, that air is finally reaching to the alveoli or the alveolar sac, and then around those alveoli lots of blood capillaries are moving. So those gases which are present in the alveoli, they will transfer into the blood, which is flowing into the blood capillary, and that is known as the gaseous exchange. So here we'll discuss how the gaseous exchange takes place. If we see how the gases transferred or the move in the lungs, or how the gaseous exchange takes place, then we'll see that suppose that is alveoli, and these are blood capillaries which are flowing around the alveoli. Now here inside the air is entering in here, that is known as the alveolar air, which is going inside the alveoli by the process of inhalation. Here the blood is flowing, and that blood is venous blood, because that is impure blood which is coming back to the heart from the body. And that side here, it is the arterial blood, means that is a pure blood which is not having the carbon dioxide in it and only containing the oxygen in it. Now this surface, this surface is known as, this surface between the alveoli and the blood capillary is known as the respiratory surface. Now here what is the air which is going inside the alveoli, that is having some pressure, and that is known as the partial pressure. Suppose the oxygen which is present here is having the partial pressure of 104 mmHg, that is the unit of the pressure of the gases, and the carbon dioxide which is present here, that is having 40 mmHg of the pressure. This is the pressure of the gases which are present inside the alveoli. Now similarly, the gases which are already present in the blood, they are also having some amount of pressure. Suppose if we talk about the venous blood, here the oxygen which is present, and that is having pressure of 40 mmHg, and the carbon dioxide which is present here, that is having the pressure of 46 mmHg. Why it is there? Because this is the venous blood which is the impure blood, and the impure blood has less amount of oxygen but more amount of carbon dioxide which is produced inside the cellular respiration. That's why the carbon dioxide is having more amount of pressure here and the oxygen is less. So what will happen, this blood when come at the respiratory surface, then what will happen, all the carbon dioxide which is present here in this blood, that carbon dioxide will be transferred to the alveoli because of the pressure difference. Why the pressure difference? Because here if we see, the carbon dioxide is having 46 mmHg, and here inside the alveoli the carbon dioxide is having 40 mmHg of pressure. So because of the pressure difference, the gases will move from the higher pressure to the lower pressure, and that's why they will transfer from the blood capillaries to the alveoli. Similarly, the oxygen which are present in the alveoli having more amount of pressure, that is 104 mmHg, and the oxygen which is present in the blood is having a less amount of pressure, that is 40 mmHg. So all the oxygen will be transferred from the alveoli to the blood. This is how the carbon dioxide from the blood will come into the lungs, and this is how the oxygen from the lungs will come into the blood capillaries, and now this blood is going into the artery, that is known as the arterial blood or the pure blood, because it is having less amount of carbon dioxide but more amount of oxygen. So here if we talk about the pressure of oxygen will become 104 mmHg, and the pressure of carbon dioxide will become 40 mmHg. Now as the blood will go further, the pressure will become constant, that is the oxygen pressure will become 95 mmHg, and the pressure of carbon dioxide will become 40 mmHg, and by this constant pressure the gases will travel into the body with the blood and will be moved to each and every part of the cell. So this is how the gaseous exchange is taking place in our body. Now if we see the chart, suppose the alveolar air sealed by a chart, the pressure of the gases is changing, and we'll get a better idea about this. We are talking about the partial pressure of oxygen here and the partial pressure of carbon dioxide here. When the gases are in the alveoli, or we can say the alveolar air, the partial pressure of oxygen is 104 mmHg and carbon dioxide is having 40 mmHg in mmHg. Now if we talk about the venous blood, when the gases are present in the vein or the venous blood, the pressure of oxygen is 40 mmHg and the carbon dioxide is more, that is 46 mmHg. When the blood reaches to the arterial blood is having the 95 mmHg and here it is the 40 mmHg. And finally when all the blood will reach to the tissue or the cells, when the gases are transferred to the tissue or the cells, that time the pressure will decrease of up to 20 for the oxygen, and the pressure will increase up to 52, that is for the carbon dioxide. Why this is happening? Because as the oxygen is transferred to the cell will start doing the respiration, the cell will start breaking down the glucose into the energy, and then the carbon dioxide molecule will produce there. That's why the pressure of carbon dioxide will increase and the pressure of oxygen will decrease here. Okay, now here the next part we'll see the transportation of gases. This was the exchange of gases from the lungs to the blood capillaries. Now after reaching to the blood capillaries, how the gases are transported to the body, that's why we'll see it here. It is transportation of gases. Okay, how the gases transport in the body. First we will talk about the oxygen. How the oxygen gas transports in the body. It transports in the body by two means. First, with dissolved plasma, means with the plasma this oxygen will dissolve and then it will be transported to the different part of the body, and that is a 3%, means the overall gases which we are inhaling, out of that 3% oxygen is transported to the different part of the body with the plasma in the dissolved form, and the remaining 97 part hemoglobin means bind with hemoglobin. And the remaining 97% oxygen binds with the hemoglobin, and the hemoglobin is present in the blood. So along with the binding of with the hemoglobin in the blood, the oxygen transported to the different part of the body. So we'll see the second type, that how the oxygen binds with the hemoglobin and how it is transported. When the oxygen binds with the hemoglobin, it forms the oxyhemoglobin. And generally the hemoglobin is present in two phases. The R phase means the resting phase, and the second is the T phase means the tense phase. While the hemoglobin is in the R phase, it binds with oxygen maximum, and while it is in the tense phase, it binds with oxygen minimum or no binding. So this binding of oxygen with hemoglobin shows the saturation of hemoglobin by oxygen, and always this oxygen hemoglobin binding forms a oxygen hemoglobin curve, and in the normal condition that curve will be like this. Here it is the percentage of saturation of hemoglobin, and here it is the oxygen, P oxygen. It means we know when the oxygen is having 95 mmHg of pressure, that time the hemoglobin which binds with oxygen will be 97% saturated. Means the hemoglobin becomes 97% saturated by binding with oxygen at the pressure of 95 mmHg. While this pressure decreases up to 40 mmHg, at that time the saturation of hemoglobin also decreases, and it decreases up to the 70%. So this curve is showing the saturation of hemoglobin with the oxygen at the pressure of 95 mmHg. Now if there is any change in the pressure of oxygen or the carbon dioxide, this curve will change, or it will shift to the right or the left side. How it will shift to the right or left side, and that shifting of the curve to the right or left is known as oxygen hemoglobin dissociation curve. Means how it is dissociating. This is the normal condition, this is the normal curve which is shown at the pressure of 95 mmHg, and it is showing the maximum saturation of hemoglobin. But as the pressure of oxygen will change, how this curve will dissociate with the oxygen. It can dissociate, or it can shift to the right or left side. So when it will shift, suppose this is the graph, this is the curve in the normal condition, and it can shift to the left side and it can shift to the right side like this. So when it will shift to the right and when it will shift to the left, this depends on the condition. What are the conditions? In what condition it will shift to the right side, and at what condition it will shift to the left side. Suppose the PCO2 increases, means pressure of carbon dioxide is increasing, and if the carbon dioxide pressure is increasing, it means automatically the pressure of oxygen is decreasing. So till that at that time, what will happen? If the oxygen is the pressure of oxygen is decreasing, and we know that the pressure of oxygen should be 95 mmHg for the maximum saturation of hemoglobin. So if the pressure is decreasing, it means definitely the hemoglobin start dissociating with the oxygen, and it will shift to the right side. If the PCO2 is increasing, it means we can say the acidity is also increasing. If the acidity is increasing, it means definitely the pH is decreasing. And if the pH is decreasing and the acidity is increasing, it means the H plus ions are also increasing. And we know the carbon dioxide affects the temperature also, so the temperature is also increasing. So in all these conditions, the curve will shift to the right side, and if we reverse all these conditions, then the curve will shift to the left side. That is, if the CO2 decreases or if oxygen pressure is increases. Third, in this condition, the acidity will automatically decrease, the pH will also increase, H plus ion decrease, and the temperature will also decrease. These are the conditions for the dissociation of hemoglobin oxygen, and this was about the transportation of oxygen in the body along with the blood. Now second, the gas is the carbon dioxide is left, and that transportation we'll see in the next class. Till then, bye bye, have a nice day, thank you.